This
Shalach.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, Parsha B'Shalach, page 366 in our stone Chumash. And finally, Vayihi, and it was B'Shalach Paro et Ha'am. And it was, good morning, Rosa. And it was page 366 when Paro sent forth the nation. Now it's interesting. Vayihi, the Gemara says, is a lashon tsa'ar, is a term that denotes sadness, anguish. There's a beautiful teaching that I heard in the name of the Vilna Gaon, and that is about Vahaya and Vayihi. Haya is past, was. Vihaya turns it into the future. Okay? Yehi is the future. Vayihi turns it into the past. Right? I think that's how it works in Hebrew grammar. Haya past, vihaya future. Yehi future, vayihi turns it, and it was, into the past. So why do we say that vayihi, and it was, is a lashon of tsar? So the Vilna Gaon says yehi is the future. Vayihi turns it into the past, meaning I'm locked into what was. The future is nothing more than a replay of the past. Right? I'm locked into where I was, what it is, and ain't never gonna change. That is tsar. That is tragic. As opposed to vihaya. Haya is past. Vihaya is I'm going to take that past and move forward. Meaning we are forever affected and impacted by that which happened in the past, but we need to move forward with that and take it forward in a beautiful manner.
Never in a million years thought there's a distinction
like that. On that note, let me say that I have your site today for my father, Avi Mori Asher Chaim Ben Tzvi. So we'll learn in his memory. And also it is Jeff Sampson's father's yard site. We share a yard site for Eric Sampson, Israel Ben David, he and the family have been tremendous benefactors to Beth Jacob. So we're also learning in his memory. Yeah. So, we have to take the people that we were blessed with in our lives. And, whenever I'm talking to someone after a passing, we never move on. We never move on. Moving on has this connotation of, okay, move on already, get over it. No, we never move on, but we must move forward and taking that which we have and doing the best that we can with it. So that's the Vilna Gaon on Vayihi and why Vayihi is a lashon of tsar. Okay, but over here, why should there be any tsar? Finally, we've gone through the 10 plagues, right? And finally, after 210 years of a bitter enslavement, we're out. We're on our way to Israel. We have a 40-year detour due to that whole debacle with the Meraglim, with the spies. But this should be ecstatic joy. What is this idea of Vayihi? Why is there tsar over here? Why does the Torah use Vayihi? And it was Bishalach Paro et Ha'am. And an answer is because Bishalach Paro et Ha'am. when Paro sent the people. Meaning, I think to a certain degree that we're feeling this very much in the world today, in the Israel situation today, that after all this year and a half, we are negotiating with Hamas, right? So if Hamas is still in the game, then we're feeling tsar. If Paro is still a player over here, right? If it was Bishalach Paro et Ha'am, if it was Paro sending, if it was Vayihi, Kahotzi Hashem, when God brought us out from Egypt, that wouldn't be Vayihi, that wouldn't be any sadness. But there's still this Paro situation. And that Paro situation manifests itself in different ways. The route that God needed to take us, lest we would say, let's go back to Egypt, as the pasuk continues. Paro coming chasing after us, as we'll soon see, which meant that Paro thought we were still under his control, we were still his. And as we'll focus on today, a troubling and confusing aspect of our leaving Egypt and all the years in the Midbar is our complaining, mitlonenim, our kvetching, our complaining, and try to get a better understanding in that. But all of that was still because b'shalach paro et ha'am, because Paro was still part of the equation. Paro was still part of what we are contending with, whether in a physical sense that he comes chasing after us, or in an emotional, psychological sense that we still feel this, well, maybe we shouldn't have left. Maybe we should have stayed. Maybe we should go back. So that is the vayihi that we have over here. The tsar, the anguish that's involved in Paro sending forth the people. I want to focus on the complaints, but let's just look at Pasuk Yud Tet, verse 19. Vayikach Moshe et atzmot Yosef imo. Moshe took the bones of Joseph with him. Ki hashbeya hishbiya b'nei Yisroel, because Yosef had placed an oath on to the children of Israel, saying, Pakod yifkod elokim etchem, God is going to remember you. The redemption will come. And when that happens, v'halitem et atzmotai mizeh itchem, you shall bring up my bones with you from here, mizeh, from this, with you. Take me out of Egypt to be buried in Israel. And we know, of course, that Yosef, kever of Yosef, is in Israel. It's in the city of Shechem. Why Shechem? Why? What is the historical irony in Yosef being buried in Shechem? I'm sorry? No, he's not Marat Machpelah. That's in Hebron, right? The two of the patriarchs, Avram, Isaac, and Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, and Leah, right? That is in Hebron. Yosef in Shechem.
Two things. When Yosef was told to go and find his brothers, he was told they were in Shechem.
Yeah.
But the other thing is Dinah.
Interesting. So I was thinking that the sale of Yosef took place from Shechem. That's where he was taken out from. So ultimately, that's where he needs to be returned to. The connection, I'm not sure about a connection of Yosef
to be buried with his ancestors.
Oh.
Well, Marat Machpelah was very, very set. We had the 3 and 3.
Or close by, rather than
Yeah, it's interesting.
city where nowhere's there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting.
I have another thought.
Yeah.
Joseph married Dinah's daughter.
Yosef married Dinah's daughter. Yeah, that was right. According to the Medrash,
And she got
what?
pregnant. And
Yeah, according to the Medrash, when Dinah was violated by Shechem ben Hamor, a daughter was born from that unholy union. She was sent down to Egypt. She was adopted by the Potiphar family. They named her Osnat, and that was Yosef's wife and the mother of Menashe and Ephraim. That's interesting. So that would be a Yosef, because when you mentioned that Dinah was in the whole episode of Dinah was in Shechem, I wasn't thinking of a connection between Yosef and Dinah, but there is that connection of Yosef and Dinah. Interesting. Why, right? Otherwise, why was Shechem chosen? I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. Now, so Moshe took the bones of Yosef with him. Now, Moshe and Yosef were both incredible leaders, but they actually had almost this direct opposite life travel, right? Yosef started off as a simple shepherd and ended up in the palace of Pharaoh. Moshe started in the palace of Pharaoh and ended up as a shepherd, right? They had Yosef brought us down to Mitzrayim, right? Yosef brought us down to Egypt. Moshe took us up out of Egypt, right? There are many just exact opposites of the two, right? But yes, but these are the two great leaders of Israel, and we see we say in our davening when we're speaking about the angels, kulam ahuvim, kulam berurim, kulam giborim, they're all beloved, they're all powerful, right? Kulam osim be'emo v'yira ritzon kanam, how they all work together. Meaning there is no, well, let me be the one in charge. No, let me be. No, I'm the. No, there is this sense of unity, of union, that we're here to be Mekadesh Shem Shamayim. We're here to sanctify the name of God, and therefore let's do it together. And whatever you can do, great, great. Whatever I can do, great. And together we bring it about. That there is not this sense of rivalry or competition amongst the angels we speak about in davening when they're sanctifying God's name, and amongst us also. We're all supposed to feel that the goal is to sanctify, to bring kedusha, kiddush Hashem, sanctification to God's name, and let's all work together. And here we have Moshe and Yosef, the two great leaders. And there is, right, who really took opposite directions in life, all for the same purpose. And here we have Moshe. Now, Moshe could have very easily and understandably designated, listen, I want you to be in charge. I'm holding you responsible. Take care of the bones of Yosef. But that's not the case. Moshe did it himself. The Medrash brings a pasuk, Ohev kesef lo yispa kesef. Right? Literally, someone who loves money is never satisfied with money. He can never have enough. Well, so too it comes to also spiritual matters. When it comes to a Moshe, with all the mitzvot he had, Ohev lo yispa. As much as he loves it, he's never satisfied. And here was the opportunity to bring personally, be carrying the bones of Yosef with him, And Moshe did that. And actually, Vayikach Moshe et Atzmot Yosef, imo, with him. And the imo is kind of obvious, it's kind of unnecessary. That Moshe took the bones of Yosef, right? Who did he take it with? He took the bones of Yosef. Who was it with? It was with him. Why does it need to say he took the bones of Yosef, imo, with him? But an explanation that's given is imo. That is what truly stayed with him. Meaning, we have the expression, you can't take it with you, but the mitzvot, the zechut, the merit, that you can take with you. Right? We say the only money that is truly yours, that's truly yours forever, is the money that you give away, that you give to a good cause, you give to a tzedakah, you give to an institution. That is forever yours. That is what you get to keep. Right? Anything besides that, you don't get to keep. One of my favorite stories is of Mr. Reichman of blessed memory, who was a tremendous philanthropist in Canada, tremendous philanthropist of countless Torah, Jewish institutions, right? Tremendous philanthropist. And the story that I heard is when he died, he left instructions for his children. I want to be buried, right? Speak to the Chevra Kadisha. I want to be buried wearing my socks. Right? There's always the set tachrichin, the set burial shrouds that everyone, thanks to Rabbi Gamliel, in the time of the Gemara already, where some people weren't able to afford expensive burial shrouds when someone would die, and it would cause a lot of strife, and therefore he instituted everyone gets buried with the same exact garments. And that's what we have now. We have very, very set, simple garments that everyone is buried in. But he wanted also to be buried in a pair of socks. And after he passed away, his children approached the Chevra Kadisha, and they did everything that they could to try to convince the Chevra Kadisha. And the Chevra Kadisha, the Burial Society, said, absolutely not. Right? There's no deviation. Everyone gets buried in the same exact manner. Absolutely not. And try as they could, and they, we'll give this donation, we'll do that, this, that. Wouldn't make a difference. After the funeral, there was another letter from his father that had been put aside, and instructions to be opened up after the funeral. And in that letter, they read, "My dear children, by now I'm sure you are clear, you are aware that the Chevra Kadisha would not allow me to be buried wearing my socks. You can't even take a pair of socks with you. Therefore, be sure to carry on in my philanthropic ways going forward. You can't even take a pair of socks. The only thing that you take with you is that which you have given for good causes. The mitzvot, that's the only thing that we actually take with us. And therefore it says that Moshe took the bones of Yosef with him. That was eternally with him. Not the bones were eternally with him. Yosef was buried in Shem. Moshe was buried somewhere across the Jordan, in present-day Jordan. To this day, we don't know exactly where. But the merit of the bones of Yosef, that was with him for all eternity. That is what is lasting. That is what we take. I recently told, I think during the Chovos HaLevavos, the duties of the heart class, the story of Rav Yaakov Yosef Herman, who was a tzaddik, who there's a book about him written by his daughter. His daughter's name is Ruchama Shane, and she wrote a book about him titled All for the Boss. And he was a furrier, and he was very, very wealthy in the a furrier, selling furs, yeah. Right? And very, very wealthy in the 1920s, and people would come to him for tzedakah and be very, very generous. And then the depression was clearly arriving, and businesses were failing left and right. And when people come to collect tzedakah at that point, the people who in the past had been given said, "Listen, I was able to help you in the past, but things have really gone. Things have gone south. Things are going south. I can't really do, or I can't do at the level that I've been doing." When they went to him, he was giving more than he normally giving out $100. Now, in the 1920s, $100 is thousands of dollars now. I know my father, Rabbi Shalom, told me when I was a teenager and I used to work for caterers to earn some pocket money, and I was earning a whopping minimum wage at the time of $3.35 an hour, which meant that if I did a Shabbos Kiddush and a Saturday night wedding and a Sunday night wedding, I could earn $100 from the 30 hours that I worked. Now $3.35 an hour is a joke. And my father said that when he was doing that as a teenager, it was 25 cents an hour. That's what he was working for. And my dad was born in the 1920, so in the mid 1930s, let's say. Right? So he was giving out in the 1920s $100. That's probably thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in today's currency. Right? And people were surprised, things are going south, things are going so bad. Why are you being so generous? And he said, clearly, min hashamayim, from the heavens, the money is going. So let me save it as best as I can. How can I lock it in? Let me give it for tzedakah. And that way, I saved it. It's mine forever. It won't be lost. Otherwise, it's just going to go down the drain. That was Moshe, who loves mitzvot, lo yispa kesef, was never satisfied, was always looking to do more. Okay, I want to jump ahead. Please.
It's from 17.2. One is semantic. Why is the word yenachem used as reconsider? I would not think.
Oh, where are we? I'm sorry.
17, third line. אמר אלוהים, פן ינחם העם בראותם מלחמה. 366, 18 בצד ימין, מילה ראשונה. מילה שלישית.
ולא נחם אלוקים.
אמר אלוהים, פן ינחם העם בראותם מלחמה. So, Yenachem would be comforted. I don't see it as reconsider or anything negative.
Right. Yinachem. Rashi says, Yichashvu machshava al sheyatzu v'yitnu lev lashuv. Interesting. Right? When we give nechama to a person, right, we're offering comfort to a person. Right? Right? Yeah. I'm not sure. You're asking an interesting question, Aaron. It could be when we try to comfort a person. What are we trying to do? We're trying to give them, right, a different perspective. Right?
Not a negative one that would cause them not to do something. I mean, to my obviously there's an explanation. I just don't know it.
Yeah. Also, right, v'lo nacham elokim pen yinachem ha'am. Almost the same words. Right? Then nacham lo nahagam. He didn't lead them. Right? Pen yinachem ha'am. Right? That they'll have a reframing, a other thoughts, right? A re-examining when they see the milchama. I'm not sure.
Secondly,
yeah,
I thought that the reason they went through the desert for all those years is so that one generation, the generation from Egypt, perishes.
That's only after the Meraglim, only after the sin of the scouts, of the spies. Otherwise, we would have gone straight away into Israel.
Right, he led them around instead of going the short and fast way, just in case they would be afraid. However, Hashem is always with them, ויומם לפניהם יומם, בעמוד עשן, etc. So I would think that the enemy is a non-issue. Whenever Hashem wants, He crashes them for us.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna, and that's what I want to work on a little bit now, right? And that is that
I to make them go all the way around.
the need to go all the way around. God's with them, leading them by the cloud, by the fire.
Would have done the same the short way.
Yeah. So what is the concern? But we see that the concern was real because we do see that they have a lot of misgivings, right? So let's take a look at that. We're going to in the past we've dealt a lot with the Az Yashir, the song, the Egyptians coming up behind, and we're us getting scared, crying out to Hashem. Why are you crying out? Travel, and then Az Yashir and Moshe traveling, and the song that we sing, and that is part of our everyday morning Shacharit prayer service. We do the entire Az Yashir, and then we have Miriam leading the women afterwards in their rendition of the song by the sea. But let's go to page 380, and let's look at 3 complaints, 3 incidents of our complaints over here. Page 380, Pasuk 22. Vayasa Moshe et Yisroel. Moshe caused Israel. He journeyed us from Yam Suf. We came to Midbar Shur, to the desert, the wilderness of Shur. Vayalchu shloshit yamim b'midbar v'lo matzu mayim. We went 3 days in the desert there, and we did not find any water. Just as an aside, the Gemara learns out from here, based on this pasuk, we read Torah not just on Shabbos, but every Monday and Thursday morning also. Because based on this verse, that they went 3 days and they did not find water. Torah is compared to water, because water goes to the lowest spot, those who have the most humility. And we don't want to go 3 days without Torah, without Mayim. Therefore, we read Torah on Shabbos, we read it again on Monday, we read it again on Thursday, and that way we make our way through a week without going 3 days without Mayim. Vayavo Marata, we came to Mara, and it was called Mara because of the issue that took place there. They couldn't drink the water there. Kimarim, because they were bitter. Al Cain, therefore, Karashmo Mara, and therefore was called Mara. Vayilonu ha'am, and the people complained al Moshe, to Moshe. Lamor, saying, Manishteh, what are we going to drink? Moshe called out to Hashem. Hashem showed him this wood. He threw it into the water. The water became sweet. Okay. And then they said, if you'll listen to the voice of Hashem, your God, do what that was right, listen to his mitzvot, keep the chukim, all of the machala, all of the diseases that I placed onto Egypt, I will not place upon you. I am Hashem, your healer. Like, where's that coming from? Right? We were thirsty. There was bitter water. Complain to Moshe. Moshe sweetens the water, and Hashem says, "Okay, right." It seems very strange. The complaint and the response. Let's see complaint episode number 2. Next paragraph. They came to Elam, and there were these fountains of water, and there were these date trees. Good. And then chapter 16. They traveled from Elim, Vayavo, Kol Adat B'nai Yisrael, El Midbar Sin. They all came to the desert of Sin, right, on the 15th day of the 2nd month. Vayilonu. Once again, they all complained. Kol Adat B'nai Yisrael, the whole congregation of the children of Israel. They all complain now. Al Moshe, V'al Aaron b'midbar, against Moshe and against Aaron in the Midbar. Vayomer. So once again they're complaining. Complaining episode number 2 against Moshe and Aaron. And they said, Mi yitain, if only we would have died Biad Hashem in the land, by the hand of God in the land of Egypt, right? Sitting on the pots of meat, right? Why'd you take us out to this midbar? Hashem said to Moshe, page 384, I will take care of this. What's he going to do? And is going to have the lechem, the man, will come down from the heaven. Laman anasenu, in order that it will be to either to test you or to uplift you, right? Will you go in the way of the Torah or not? And they'll gather that, and there'll also be meat, right? As also, or the fowl that came down, right? That was episode number 2. Okay? And Hashem says, I'm going to give supply. Let's go to episode number 3. That's on page 390. They encamped in Rephidim, the Ein Mayim Lishtot, and there was no water to drink. Vayarev ha'am and Moshe. The people then quarreled with Moshe, complained, contended with Moshe, saying, Tanu lanu mayim v'nishteh. Right? Give us water to drink. And Moshe says to them, Matanasun, why are you arguing with me? Why are you testing God? And then Hashem, they say to Moshe, why did you take us out of Egypt? Right? Hashem tells Moshe, right? Take the stick, hit, right? Take the stick right? And you go and hit the rock, and out from there will come the water. So what is a strange idea over here? We keep complaining. Who are we complaining to? Moshe, first time. Moshe and Aaron, the second time. Moshe, the third time. Who was conspicuously absent? Hashem. Right? And actually, back on 382, Moshe says, who am I? What am I that you're arguing against me? Right? It's not against me. Lo alein from the Chemkil Hashem. Right? You should be talking to God. So what is going on over here? Why is it that we keep going to Moshe? Why are we not going to God? Please.
When we were still in Egypt and they made the work harder, they did the same thing. They complained when Pharaoh said, you have to make the bricks now, or you have to cut the straw, or whatever it was. They complained to Moshe.
Good, Judy. That's a good point, right? At that point, right, so Judy's saying that this has been our MO, right? When Moshe went to Paro and things got worse, we complained to Moshe. But I would venture to say that was before the plagues. That was before Kriyat Yamsuf, the splitting of the sea. At that point, all they had was Moshe coming and saying, yeah, God told me this. He went to Paro and things got worse. So they said, Moshe, who needs you, right? This is not working. But at this point, they've seen the Yad Hashem. They've seen the hand of God.
Because maybe there's a chain of command, right? If you work in a company, you don't go to the CEO to complain. You go to your supervisor. Who am I to talk to the CEO?
Okay, Aaron, yes, right? But that actually speaks to the yesod, to the foundation of idolatry, meaning we're not allowed to go through intermediaries, right? As unfathomable as that is to us, and we can understand the start of idolatry, which was, who are we to go to the God of gods? Let me go to his emissaries. Let me go to his proxies. Let me go to his district managers, the rain, the angel in charge of the rain, the angel in charge of this. But Hashem says, no, go to the boss. That's how it needs to be. But yes, this was This was, but I like what you're saying, Aaron, meaning we needed to learn that we go straight to Hashem for our needs. But it seems, and this is suggested on Aleph Beta, I think is a very beautiful approach. We'll see how it fits nicely into the psukim, into the verses. We had seen God is, on the macro level, right? He's bringing down empires. He took the mighty Egypt, the mighty Pharaoh, and crashed it down. And as the psukim kept saying, in order that they will know I am Hashem, that I'm the one in charge. So that is the God that they are familiar with. Plagues bringing the mighty empire of Egypt to its knees, and then the Egyptian army being drowned as they chase after us. But all of this I'm looking at them as opposed to for us. Meaning, is God really there for us? Is God really there with us? Right? He deals with the big things. He's there to get his name out in the world. And we were the vehicle through which he got his name out in the world. But little us and our needs, now where are we? Now where are we? And if we look back at each of these episodes, let's go through now. Right? First of all, a beautiful idea back on 380. Right? We couldn't drink water, mimara, ki marim hain. Right? Whenever you got this hanging pronoun, because they were bitter. Simple meaning they, the waters, were bitter. But the Kutzka Rebbe says they were bitter. Right? And if you're bitter, everything is bitter. No matter what's going on, all the beauty you might have around us in life, if I'm bitter, everything is bitter. Right? Al Kain Karashmo, right? So again, they complained to Moshe, and it was thrown there. Then what happened afterwards? Hashem says, Moshe says, you listen to the voice of Hashem, your God, Hashem Elokecha. Hashem Elokecha, your God, personal. And you do that which is straight in his eyes, listen to his mitzvot, then all of the plagues, all of the disease that I placed on Egypt, I will not place upon you, because I am Hashem Rof Echa. Right? Not even Rof Echem, not the healer of you all, but in the singular. I am Hashem Rof Echa. I am Hashem, your healer. What is your healer? I'm here for you. I care about you. Yes, you experience the micro level, but don't be misled and think that that's all I do. I'm here on the micro level. I'm here with each and every one of you. The next episode, and again on 382, they complain, what are we going to eat? They complain to Moshe and Aaron, and Hashem says, I'm going to send down all of the man that's going down. And what does Moshe say to them? Ma talinu aleinu. Who are we that you are complaining against us? Right? Ma atem. Hashem has heard your tlunot. Right? V'nachnu ma. Why? Who are we that you are complaining against us? Ki al Hashem. Ki al Hashem. Where must you be directing your cries, your sadness? It's got to be El Hashem. And Hashem, right? Hashem says, tell Bnei Yisroel, right? Hashem has heard your tlunot. And therefore, there's going to be this basar coming down at night, and there's going to be the man coming down in the morning. And then we go to that last episode, which we said was on page 390. And once again, they complain. What happens? They complain with Moshe, give us water to drink. And Moshe says, Ma terivun imadi, ma tanasunat Hashem. Why are you arguing with me? Stop coming to me. Now keep in mind, there's no complaint against the children of Israel of why are you complaining? You're thirsty. You're hungry. You're in a desert. But Hashem is creating this environment for you in order that we'll learn to reach out to Him when we are going through a difficult time. Yeah, right? Moshe says, Pasuk Dala there, page 390. What can I do? Od ma'at uskaluni. Right? Pretty soon they're going to stone me. Beautiful, beautiful teaching. Hashem said to Moshe, oh yeah, avor lefnei ha'am, walk in front of the people. Let's see if they're going to stone you. Meaning, let's not go to hyperbole. Don't speak badly about my children, about my people. They're not going to stone you. And take elders, umatcha asher hikita bo et hayor, and the stick that you used to hit the Yaor, meaning that stick that was used for the Makkah, right? That stick which was used, we spoke about the opposites before of Moshe and Yosef. Let's look at the opposites of this stick. That stick that was used to turn water into blood, right? To turn water into non-water. Now what's that stick going to do? Right? Hikita Betsor, you're going to hit the rock, and it's going to turn the non-water into water. V'yatsu mimenu mayim v'shata ha'am, and the people will drink. And that's what it was. Recognize that anything that was an instrument of bringing Makkah, bringing plague on the macro level to Egypt, it's there on the micro level for you. And here comes the most incredible pasuk. Vayikra pasuk Zayin. And they call the name of that place Masa Umariva, the place of contention. How do they define this? Masa Umariva. Al Riv b'nei Yisroel, over these arguments of b'nei Yisroel, va'al nasotam et Hashem leimor, hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin. Is God there in our midst or not? That is the issue that we are contending. We know there's God. We saw the plagues. We saw the splitting of the sea. We know there is this Elokim Gadol, this great God in the world. The question is, Hayesh Hashem Bikir Beinu. Is there God Bikir Beinu amongst us, right? Amongst us and amongst me. Is God there with me on a personal level? And this was the nisayon. Of course, God always could have just had it all set for us without all this. Nisayon, test, challenge, but it comes from, right, we lift the sun, Nes, lift up a banner. A Nes, Nisayon, is a banner. Thing gets lifted up. Nes comes from miracle, from that which is hidden coming out. All of this was orchestrated to teach us to recognize and to feel Hashem there in our midst. And that is going to be the struggle that they have throughout and that each of us have. Each of us have in life. Everyone has their struggles, their difficulties, and we wonder, God, are you with me or not? Right? Famous Tehillim that King David, Keli, Keli, Lama Azavtani. Why have you deserted me? Right? This is the constant nisayon struggle that we have in a world where God's presence is hidden, to see and appreciate and recognize Hashem's hand. And that is the recurring theme that we have in these first three complaints that really sets the template for what's going to be going forward. Yes, Cheryl, sorry.
Never mind.
No, let's hear.
Well, I was going to say maybe they were not taught how to approach Hashem. And the only way, that's why they had the golden calf in the first place, because the only way they knew was to have an intermediary.
Yeah.
But we know better, and it's still the same thing.
Yeah. No,
Come to you to complain.
Huh?
They come to you to complain.
Yeah, they come to me to complain. Yeah. No, it's very true. It's look, we are only the sum total of our experiences and our decisions. And until now, we have not yet had that personal or we felt that national supervision, right? That's what we say when Hashem introduces himself at the Aseret HaDibra coming up in a few weeks, right? Actually next week, right? The Ten Commandments on Mount Sinai. I am Hashem, your God, who took you out from the land of Egypt. Okay, that's national involvement. Mi beit avadim. Beit, house. That is personal. That's me. That's my family, my house of slavery. Why are you mentioning bayit? Because Hashem introduces himself as the macro and the micro, right? And that is one of the, I think that is one of the areas where Orthodox Judaism really differs from other denominations, we'll call, in terms of, is God involved with us on a personal level? I think one of the big classics of the conservative movement is by a certain Rabbi Kushner. Why do bad things happen to good people? And basically, and not that I've gone through his book, but basically the approach is, hey, God's not going to deal with the petty details, right? And there's the macro, but not the micro. And we say chas v'shalom, heaven forbid, right? Rambam has 13 principles. Hashem is asa oseh v'yaseh et kol ha'masim, that he's personally involved with us. But you're right, Cheryl. We hadn't yet had those experiences, and therefore we needed to learn it, and we needed to learn not to go to Moshe, but to go to Hashem and to recognize Hashem. Yeah.
So I feel after October 7th, it was a huge outpouring from all of Klal, maybe not all of Klal Yisroel, but a lot of us. And it was such a spirit of, help us.
Yeah.
Help us.
Yeah.
Please bless us. And so many miracles occurred.
Yeah.
Which I think are still happening.
Yeah. And these things, they're so painful. We hope that we don't need these things to bring us to that point. But each of these things bring us to that point. The Gemara says that the period before Mashiach is going to be a time of where we recognize Al mi yesh lanu lihishain, on whom can we rely? Al Avinu shebashamayim, on our Father in heaven, and to recognize that that any help that we might be getting down here, right, be it from a president or whatever else might be going on, is simply an agent, a shaliach, agent of Hashem. And al tiptuchu minadivim, don't put our trust in those individuals, because individuals can so quickly turn in the opposite direction. But put our faith where it needs to be. Yes, Dov. And then back to you, Cheryl.
First of all, the word complain, I want to make it change the meaning a little bit. It means calm. Where are you going to go? Plain. Just be a plain person, be humble.
Okay. Yes, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Dov likes to darshan some English words, with gematria and all.
Balshon Angli. One more thing, too.
Wait, Cheryl's
Okay,
first.
go ahead, Cheryl.
The discouraging thing about all of this current event stuff is that we still have the Arab Rav among us that are just destroying everything.
We still have. Look, we've always had the greatest tsar anguish has come from within us, right? We hear over here. If you look back for a second, it's incredible. Vayomer Paro, we doubled back. Hashem told us before the splitting of the sea, and that way Paro is going to come running after us. The pasuk says, "Vayomer Paro." Can't find it now. Livnei Yisrael.
He said they're confused or something.
Yeah. Pasuk Gimel. Vayomer Paro, and Paro said, "Livnei Yisrael," to the children of Israel. Nevuchim Haim, they've gotten confused in the land. Sagar, the desert has closed in on them. He said, to Bnei Yisrael. Rashi explains, no, al Bnei Yisrael, about Bnei Yisrael. Targum Yonasan ben Uziel says, he said to Bnei Yisrael. Who is still there? Datan and Aviram. Those two incorrigibles, right? Always problem, right? They're there, and they're still with Paro. We've always had, you'll pardon me, the Bernie Sanders, right, out there, right? We've always had those, and we need to be the best version of ourselves to combat. I'm sorry?
Or the source is even worse.
Yeah.
Was Korach among them, or was
No. Korach raised his head up at a later point, but we've always had that, and our focus needs to be. I was just at a rabbinic conference yesterday, and one of the speakers was talking about October 7th, and the people who were at that music festival were not necessarily the most observant of our people, right? And yet we properly call them kadoshim, holy ones. They died for being Jewish. But the point that was being made, right? I forget exactly which rabbi had said this, right? Well, do you believe that God speaks to us? Yes, of course. Well, is God speaking to those who are open to hearing what he has to say, or those not open to hearing what he has to say? Obviously, he's going to speak to those who are open to hearing. So God's speaking to you and me, right? So what lessons do we need to learn from it, right? That's where, and we have, so many of those tragic Jews who work against us, the Jewish Voice for Peace, and all these crazy organizations. Okay, so they are confused, they are lost. But God is talking to us, to those of us who our ears are open to hear what he has to say, and we have to do our best, like I always say, to be the best version of ourselves, the best Jewish version of ourselves, the best human version of ourselves, and that's all we can do, to have our ears open to take these lessons as we were trying to learn over there. Hashem is Bikir Beinu. Hashem is in our midst on that micro level, not just on the macro, the world level, but the personal level of the nation, the personal level of each of us in our personal lives. And that's how we need to reach out, and how we need to be strengthened, and how we need to move forward.
Rabbi, can I say something quickly?
Yes, Dov.
In the Tivot, on the attack when Hamas went in, they did go to the Tivot.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened?
Right? I've heard that story.
Because the Hamas testified, because they asked why you guys didn't attack.
Netivot is a town where Baba Sali, where there were great tzaddikim, Sephardic Kabbalists and tzaddikim who had lived there, and I think his son is also there. Our grandson is there now.
Where is it?
But
Baba Sali is in the south,
but the Hamas guy
not far from the whole Gaza envelope.
Right. But the Hamas guy said we ran away scared because there was a huge figure with a beard, like huge, saying, "If you don't leave now, I kill all of you." That was, I think, Baba Sali's whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah. Okay, once again, the learning was Eli Nishmas, my father, Asher Chaim ben Tzvi, and Eric Sampson, Ezriel ben David. And Yeshikoach, everybody. Thank you all for joining in person, online. Shavua Tov, everybody. Thank you.
Baba.
Baba Sali.
Baba Sali.
Well, who was